Good morning and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Friday, May 31st. President Garcia is absent and I, President Pro Tem Davis, will be chairing the meeting today. Mrs. Zatorsky, will you please establish roll call and quorum?
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. President Pro Tem Davis. Devin Zatorsky with the Board of Public Works. We are in record mode, so the Zoom is being recorded. Today we have President Pro Tem Davis, Commissioner Corsand, and Commissioner Reyes all present, so we have a quorum today. We're also joined by City Attorney Ms. Adina Hoppenstand, and once again, Devin Zatorsky with the Board of Public Works. We have 4 speaker cards today, 2 under general public comment and 1 under item number 1 and item number 2. So we have 2 general public comment. I'll give you this other one so we can go ahead and do that.
Okay, great. I will begin with the first one that I have, and I hope this name is pronounced correctly. Is it Candido Munez or Manez? I beg your pardon? Okay, he's not here. Okay. The next one is Public Works Fatso.
Can you fix the mic, please? I think it's backwards.
Just flip it around if you don't mind.
So I gotta talk like this?
No, flip it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the arena. It's backwards, sir.
Thank you. You guys don't pay it now. Such intelligence.
You know, just this past week, while I was being accosted from this public meeting, my words are a activity of importance. And when your fat president, fat mommy, gets upset because I'm retarded and wants to kick me out because she says my gibberish rants and my disability is being a part of my effective communication, not one of you niggers and especially the nigger attorney's office that protects Peter Thomas from ripping us off, and the DWP ever steps in to engage that the public has a right to their First Amendment. And if you don't like the First Amendment, then maybe like the rest of the niggers across the hall in room 340, you should get a new job, because protected speech is an activity based on credibility, as we got Brandenburg versus Ohio, Whitney versus California, Snyder versus Phelps. That's right. He says simplify, faggots, God hates you, you're going to hell, priests rape boys, and it's all true. If you don't like the truth, if you don't like my gibberish, if you don't like my vulgar, if you don't like the way I steer these meetings to get your attention, then how the fuck do you expect to come to your job and not go home this weekend and tell your children that the First Amendment is a protected activity? Not like those fucking Jews that went to UCLA and took a stick and beat the Palestinians in front of those absent-minded, stupid fucking police that I and you pay for protection. It's called equal opportunity, equal First Amendment. Donald Trump would say politely, fuck you.
That's 2 minutes, thank you.
Okay. That is the end of the public, excuse me, of the public comments. Let's see. I think that now we will start the regular schedule items. Item number 1, is that right? Oh, okay. Above the minutes? Yes. The close?
Call for approval of the minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. Okay, sure. Can I have approval of the minutes? A motion for the approval of the minutes?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by me, seconded by Commissioner Crosan.
Great, I'll take the roll. So we have a motion by President Pro Tem Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsan. Let's take a quick vote, starting with you, President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes. Aye. Great, all approved. Okay, we can move on to item number 1.
Great. And now I can start the agenda items. We have agenda item 1, revised task for solicitation of number 01012B, Kleinfelder West. Authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task.
Apologies, Commissioner, before we start, I forgot we have a comment on item number 1.
You
So
have a
before we
comment
have
first.
stuff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we have a comment we have a public comment F on item 1.
So on item number 1, ladies and gentlemen of the public, my concern is about the public interest in these included contingencies at a time when Los Angeles is suffering and depleting the budget and its financial crisis. And we continue to see that the order of operation of Public Works clearly makes it crystal clear, like I said, crystal clear, that God hates you. Because the city attorney at the time, Mr. Peter Thomas, for example, set the record and made a motion that he was doing nothing wrong in his criminal conspiracy to fuck the public on your DWP billing. So let's not lose sight of that solicitation of this bastard, but let's go on to talk about the groundwater monitoring and the related services for the fire station. Well, no one cares about the fire department. These guys have 2 jobs. One, they work for their 8 hours, and then the other in all their overtime. Fuck the fire department. We don't need no water. Let the motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker, burn. So going back to the water now for this $466,500,000 is this. Why do we continue to say that groundwater monitoring is important when you goddamn know well water is being contaminated on a daily basis and live animals are being targeted because you wasteful motherfuckers don't clean up the water problem? That's the problem.
Okay. This item one, recommending the board, one, authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task for TOS number 01-012B to Kleinfelder West Incorporated.
Excuse me, I have a card on one.
I don't have a card. Is there another card?
Don't have a public comment on one.
Greenspan one.
No, we
I
have one
don't
for
have
two. Agenda item 2. We don't have a card for one.
I mean, I put one in on two, yes, but apparently,
We
okay.
don't have a card for one for you, sir.
Did you read?
My apologies, Commissioner. We have a card for one.
Oh, we do. Okay,
Okay, that's
okay. An additional public comment on item number one, Greenspan.
yes. Okay, Mike Greenspan. Yes, Kleinfelder West Incorporated. Wow, Merry Christmas, y'all. 148,000 to 466,000, including contingency for continued groundwater monitoring. Yes, folks, we fucked up the groundwater. You know that. I know that. And we're just doing symbolic shit. What can I say? We have water that's not palatable. Otherwise, the water industry would go broke and we would be getting water from our taps. Well, if we can't get it from our taps, we can't get it from other sources that are in LA under the Public Works because it's all contaminated. But we're just putting on a happy face. Maybe we can get those emojis with a happy face and pretend like nothing's going on. When, I mean, I don't know if we are as bad as the Fort Bragg in North Carolina, where people really have diseases and everything else that have gone for decades, or if it's your, quote, minor thing. It's hard to tell the degree of which it's been fucked up, our water supply. So thank God that people can go to the store and buy water, because I sure wouldn't be wanting to get some of this contaminated water and drink it myself. And, well, maybe we can give it sewer water instead. Yummy. It's clean. What's that word? Recycled water. Yeah. So we have cover-up words and words that soft pedal things when we really have bad situations. And public officials are great at that. They are great at just lying on everything and just soft pedaling it when really we, the people, are the ones paying the penalty. So, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I'll get my Santa cap for your next item. Thank you.
Okay. Item one is recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task for TOS number 01-012B to Kleinfelder West Incorporated, increasing the budget authority from $148,000 to $466,000, including contingency for continued groundwater monitoring, remediation, and related services for the Fire Station Number 3 project, WOE 190-353 C-141867, and we have Mike Mulhern representing the department to present.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, sir.
Commissioners. Mike Mulhern. I'm Mike Mulhern with the Geotechnical Engineering Section, Bureau of Engineering. This site, which is next to the Fig Towers, you may have stood next to it at the dash stop over there. We're asking for an additional $318,000 to hopefully finish the remediation at this site. We've met with the Regional Water Quality Control Board. They seem to be happy with the remediation we've done under another consultant, but still want monitoring at this point. They indicate that they may want a soil vapor test just to see if there's any remnants or anything that needs to be remediated once the groundwater is done. So that's the purpose for the large contingency. We have to go in and properly abandon the wells to state standards. and or we'll have to do this soil vapor monitoring study. That's basically my report.
Yeah, I apologize for really not being able to hear you clearly.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
reason for the extension or the increase of funding is because the the Bureau has declared what to be done in this case. And I really unfortunately couldn't hear you clearly, and I apologize
Sorry
for
for
that.
the mask. The Regional Quality Control Board, which is the state regulator monitoring the groundwater, has required us to continue monitoring. They are considering case closure because we have done remediation in the past and we're just about there. They also indicated that in addition to properly abandoning the wells to state standards, they may require us to do a soil vapor study and or remediation for that as well. So we have money in the contingencies to handle that without
Sure.
further delay.
Great. Are there any questions of the commissioners regarding item number 1? Commissioner Reyes.
How soon are we expecting a decision from the Regional Water Quality Board?
It could be any time. They're a little slow on this particular. We have informally asked them, and they just say their upper management is looking at it. So we could hear within days, or it could be months. But this funding will carry us through till next year with the required monitoring.
So if we believe that this contingency is sufficient enough to carry us for the additional work through next year?
That's
Is
correct.
that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did you tell us where we got the money from in terms of the expenditure for this item? I mean, which budget does this money come out of?
It's from the CAO's office, the CIEP.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of the commission? Hearing none, can I have a second to my motion to accept item number 1?
Second.
Okay.
Great, thank you. We have a motion by President Pro Tem Davis, a second by Commissioner Corsan. We'll take the roll, starting with you, President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corsan,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Wonderful. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you so very much,
Thank
Mr. Miller. Next, we have item 2. Are there any item public speaker cards? Okay. Let's take Mr. Candido first on item number 2.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good morning. Again, I just want to thank you for the gallon of graffiti removal that we were able to get from Public Works. You know, as I look at this beautiful city and the work you folks are doing and how we're getting ready for especially the Olympics, we're taking care of the soul. But as I look around, as I drive in from the valley, and especially around Universal, and the walls are filled with paint and graffiti. And is there anything that you folks can do to encourage whoever it is that's supposed to remove that graffiti to start it now? Because if we wait, you know, a couple more years, it's just going to be much more. And especially on our bridge crossings, there's a lot there. Again, the city is so beautiful. It's the greatest city in the world. And you folks have a chance to make it and keep it beautiful. So I hope that maybe you guys can reach out to whoever can handle that part of the graffiti in our wonderful city. Thank you.
Sure, if you could give the detailed information to Ms. Zatorsky in terms of where the graffiti needs to be removed, that will be helpful. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Mike Greenspan on item number 2.
Mike Greenspan. Well, this one's on Santa's nice list. Pasomas, yes. Merry Christmas at the end of May. $530,000 for sidewalk repair program. Folks, that's a drop in the bucket. And you've got all 15 districts. Yeah, right. I think you guys on the Board of Public Works need to go back to school and take arithmetic courses because the math just what is that word? Fuzzy math that Al Gore called? Well, this is fuzzier math. That's the best way to describe it. 530,000 and 15 districts. I mean, I live in an area where the sidewalks are buckled. That's a given. But then, do you know what happens after that route breaks up the sidewalk? it goes under the sidewalk and starts breaking up the asphalt on the street. I live in that kind of neighborhood that we're past the sidewalk repair. We're already fucking up the streets from the roots. So until you actually get control of it, and it's not just one place or another, just take a walk around City Hall. Look at all those fucked up sidewalks. Have they done anything? How much of this money will take care of those sidewalks? You know, where the homeless are camped out across from City Hall, places like that. That's by that Thursday vending place. I mean, just take a walk to Union Station and Denny's a long way. You'll see nothing but buckled sidewalks. I don't know if 530,000 would even cover between here and Denny's. That's how infinitesimal your budget is for sidewalk repair. Is it just going to be you guys in front of your house having your sidewalks repaired? And by the way, where are those other two members of the Board of Public Works today deducted from their pay? They're absent playing hooky.
Next for public comment, we have F.
Yeah, so here's the question. Do we actually have a city engineer that's qualified for this fuzzy amount of $500,000 just to fix one sidewalk or maybe replace a couple of tactile curbs? Because this money here, it's very apparent, and the scenario is this. In CD14, over 15 years ago, Caltrans, the city of Los Angeles, Metro, and the niggers that provide us transportation argued with me, Armando Herman for the record, at 562 US 443 2011 about this so-called bridge construction for handicap ramps. And you know what? Those 90 days are counting. And I really hope you niggers get on the job to find out what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to repeat myself about this fuzzy landmark decision about why we have a pre-qualified engineer versus a qualified crew fixing our public sidewalks and streets for the disabled, the elderly, and the non-disabled. As you heard Mr. Speaker, the first speaker by the name of Candido say, you're doing a good job, except now Herman is pointing out the facts. Fix the fucking curbs, fix the fucking sidewalks, get all those homeless people into permanent housing, and get us some pedestrian-friendly places to walk instead of having my dumb fucking ass. And it's going to be your cause that when I get hit by a bus or a car for stepping out into the street to avoid those homeless niggers, it's your fault. And I'm afraid of walking the sidewalk now because of all this homeless shit you and that fucking dumb mayor have created and haven't done shit to correct.
It's 2 minutes.
Item number 2, recommending, that was the end of public comment, first of all. But item number 2, recommending to the board, 1, to authorize the city engineer to issue the TOS number 34 to SOMAS from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultants list to provide inventory and assessment of the City of Los Angeles public right-of-way pedestrian facilities, Phase 1 pilot services for the sidewalk repair program, as stated in TOS number 34, with a budget authority of $530,000, including contingency, WOE 1909-337, C-134-269. Presenting on behalf of BOE is Omar Brayson, and I guess Bruins isn't here, correct? Oh, okay, you both are here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you both.
Okay. Good morning, Board of Public Works, Commissioners, and Representative. My name is Omar Bresh. I'm the Senior Civil Engineer for the Sidewalk Repair Program at Bureau of Engineering. The Bureau is requesting authority to issue TOS 34 to SOMAS from the PQOC list to provide inventory and assessment of the City of Los Angeles public right-of-way pedestrian facility Phase 1 pilot, and to recommend authorize the city engineer to issue the TOS in the amount of $530,000, including 20% contingency. A city controller's report from November 17th to 2021 highlighted the lack of data on the sidewalk conditions and the repair costs. It recommended conducting pedestrian facility inventory and assessment pilot. The pilot phase will help the city understand how to create a future comprehensive citywide pedestrian facility inventory and assessment. Ultimately, it will support compliance with the American with Disability Act by identifying barriers that limit access for individuals with disabilities and create a transition and maintenance plan for ongoing compliance and overall improved condition for pedestrian facilities and usability. Under this TOS, SOMAS will provide program development and project management services, including researching inventory, assessment technology, existing assessments by other entities, and the city's current assessment management program, coordinating and putting in public-private stakeholders and city departments. Identifying facilities and their characteristics to be inventoried and evaluated. Determine pilot location across diverse city areas such as hillside residents, major transit corridors, and unimproved areas. Conducting inventory assessment of facilities or pilot location. Analyzing data compatibility with existing city systems. Recommending a uniform asset conditions, rating strategy, and ongoing data maintenance mechanisms. Reporting on the scope, schedule, technologies, and estimated cost for the citywide inventory and assessment. The funding for this TOS is currently available in the Measure R Local Return Fund. This concludes my report. Here I have with me Eric Bruin. He's the Director of Strategic Initiative for Bureau of Engineering. He would have some to say.
Sure.
Thank you, Omar. Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to take a moment and just highlight the significance of this particular initiative. This is a citywide pilot initiative where we are looking at our sidewalks as the foundation of safe and equitable mobility in the city. We are all pedestrians. And so we are trying to look at our sidewalks holistically, kind of for the first time. And so there's a lot of technology that we need to explore to understand what's out there. And because sidewalks are such complicated facilities, and especially when by the time you talk about curb ramps, you talk about the crosswalks, we have to create a totally accessible path of travel for our pedestrians. This is also an opportunity as a Department of Public Works to shift from a very reactive maintenance posturing for our sidewalks to a proactive. We want to proactively go out and see what's out there. We want to proactively develop asset management systems, especially with our partners at Streets LA, who are the asset managers for our sidewalks. And we want to proactively address infrastructure inequity in the city. We have neighborhoods that were developed over over hundreds of years to very different standards, and we need to make sure that we're able to make all of our neighborhoods equitably accessible for our communities. This project is really partnership is at the center of how we're approaching this work. Especially I mentioned with Streets LA as our closest partner, as our asset managers for our sidewalks, but also looking at the other agencies in the city that are doing some version of an asset management inventory. And so we're looking at how we can collaborate with our other partners in the city. And we are also partnering with community-based organizations. We included set aside within for engagement with community-based organizations to compensate them for their time, because we're looking to not only understand sidewalks as physical concrete, but also as social infrastructure that underpins kind of our street life in our communities and what that actually means for the design and assessment of sidewalks. We will be distributing next week to you all and to the council office and whatnot a link for a public participation survey. This is primarily a technical scope of work, but we do want to have an opportunity to see what the public, have the public identify if we have any blind spots as to how we're approaching this work. So there will be a survey. We do invite you all to distribute it to your various constituencies. But ultimately, we're approaching this understanding that the primary barrier to understanding pedestrian facilities in Los Angeles is the scale of the city. And so by having a targeted pilot initiative, we're able to basically see what is the most cost-effective way to tackle the city as a whole. And we're very, very excited to look at the way that new technology around sensing and AI and all the various things that we can do will give us an opportunity to cost-effectively assess the city at scale to meet our legal obligations for ADA and to better support policymaking and program management of our sidewalks. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any
Okay.
questions.
Great. You mentioned equitable implementation of this sidewalk program. In terms of the scope of work for SOMAS, they will be working on all 15 council districts in implementing this project. Is that correct?
It is a citywide pilot, but one of the key parts of their early scope is to identify pilot locations for assessment. The primary deliverable here is the evaluation of the technology that could then be scaled up citywide. So we can't commit that the pilot, it's only $500,000, is not very much.
Sure.
But so the goal here is to evaluate the technology that can then be scaled. So we will be looking for representative locations throughout the city that represent, we have very urban neighborhoods, we have downtown core, we have more, and various degrees of suburbia going out to the fringe with many different types of sidewalk conditions. We want to make sure that we're getting a representative sample. So that will not necessarily mean working in many different parts of the city, but we're not trying to bite off the whole city with this pilot. What we're trying to do is primarily assess the most cost-effective technology so that we can come back with a multi-year plan that will involve inventorying all of our pedestrian facilities.
So obviously, as we do in government, we want to get the most financially affordable, responsible choice that we can implement in repairing. In the technologies of repair for sidewalks, are there some new technologies that are available now that we did not have heretofore, let's say, for example, 5 years ago, that as we explore, we're trying to test to see how effective these so-called new technologies might be, given certain kinds of disrepair in various sides of town? Can you briefly elaborate, if in fact that is the case, about what is available in solutions to broken sidewalks?
Yeah, absolutely. So this technology, I think the majority of the advances of technology that we're hoping to leverage with this are primarily on the sensing and the data management side. So having a better kind of central brain for understanding of what we need to do to manage our sidewalks better, and better understanding the condition of those sidewalks, and making more informed decisions about how to prioritize our repair resources. Separately from kind of that side of the technology, where there's been a lot of advancement recently, I think we've also been working with our partners at Streets LA to kind of explore, the Bureau of Engineering, we're responsible for remediation of our sidewalks, which generally means reconstructing them entirely for the segments that we're doing it. That is a very expensive process because it involves a lot of engineering, and it's a lot of concrete work. We've also been working with our partners at Streets LA, and this is more in their side of the house around maintenance activities, and trying to understand what is the role of maintenance in managing our sidewalks. Because by the time a sidewalk has broken to the point that it needs to be remediated wholly by the Bureau of Engineering, that's a very expensive process. But we're looking for where are there opportunities to do things like grinding, to reintroduce patching, to do individual panel repairs, and do those types of things where it's innovations in our workflow to introduce maintenance into our sidewalk management program. Because right now that's kind of the missing piece, is we've been so focused on full remediation, which is our legal obligation, that we haven't necessarily been saying, okay, but can we do some maintenance activities to maintain some degree of passability while that site is still in the queue for the full remediation work that does need to happen.
You mentioned community-based organizations and collaborating with them. Can you elaborate in terms of what our goal is in our collaboration with CBOs as it relates to this work?
Yes. So we're all technical people inside the city. We know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And so our goal with bringing together some partners from kind of the nonprofit space and academia and philanthropy is to talk to people that have a very good understanding of their communities, and to understand kind of how people relate to the sidewalk in different ways. Especially, some communities, like, there's a lot of social activity on the sidewalk. You might have street vending, you might have people, kids playing, you might have all these other types of uses of the sidewalk, whereas we're thinking about, like, the very technical, like, what is the legal requirement to get a wheelchair through this on a path of travel. And you can imagine if that there are tensions between some of those things, is if the space is being programmed for multiple uses. So we're trying to have a little bit more of a nuanced understanding of how our sidewalks support the social life of our city. and then pulling that back into what does that actually mean from a technical perspective of how we should assess our city, our sidewalks, and how we should, how we should manage those assets.
You mentioned equitable as a value in terms of the work we're expecting to achieve in this pilot project. And as we look at the things that you are exploring, how does the work that you are exploring in this pilot project feed into the values that the Board of Public Works has had in terms of subcontractors or small businesses and creating opportunities, as we have done in certain programs, where they could repair sidewalks? How does your work that you're doing, how is your exploration of the various solutions you're looking at feed into what outcomes could be to further enhance opportunities for small businesses in the future to get an opportunity to implement these solutions that you might discover in your findings? How could it play into supporting small businesses in Los Angeles having an opportunity moving forward to make these so-called repairs that we discover in the research?
Yeah, absolutely. So our sidewalk program, and I might ask Omar to say a little bit more about this, but we have a very strong component for our small contracts. We have one of the reasons that we justified additional staffing in the program last fiscal year was to those require a little bit more administrative work. That's more small contracts is a little bit more staff work than one large contract, and so we asked for the administrative capacity, and we were fortunate enough to receive the administrative capacity to administer more small contracts. And so we have been definitely heavily relying on that arm of our contracting. But in general, kind of zooming back out, if we have more a clearer sense of the various types of management techniques and clearer workflows, we will be able to more predictably have consistent. Businesses, they need contracting opportunities and needs to know that the work is going to be there consistently year after year, so that way they can plan their own growth. If we can have a more of a longer term outlook on our sidewalk asset management, there will be a better opportunity for us to communicate what business opportunities exist on a multi-year basis, as well as what the growth opportunities are, so that way those small businesses maybe can become less small. That's definitely key to our thought process here. I think as we're also introducing other maintenance techniques, again, this is more of the Streets LA side of the equation on regular maintenance. There will be some of those things. The goal would be to have it be done by city crews, which are great city jobs, and some of those might also be contracting opportunities, especially around grinding and those types of things that are less traditionally city processes. And so I think as we come up with a more effective management strategy generally, those types of business opportunities will also emerge from that work.
I think that's important because this board has explored itself opportunities for these small businesses to be able to implement repairs to sidewalks across the city. We've not been able to realize as many opportunities for those businesses, even though we've had the dream that this opportunity, as a result of what we've had to do, and we know for over 20-something years, we're going to have to be committed to sidewalk repair, and we know why we need to do that. But we have envisioned that our business community could be a part of this solution. And so as we do new research on these kinds of things, it's important for there to be a connectivity between your research and us achieving our goals of our vision to include the Los Angeles small businesses in that. With this, I'm going to ask our commission if they have any questions on item 2. Seeing none, can I receive a second to my motion to accept item number 2?
Second.
The motion has been made by me and seconded by both of our commissioners, Reyes and Corsan. And with that, I will ask Mrs. Torsky.
Great. We got everyone's participation. Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Davis, seconded by Reyes and Corsan. I will start the vote with you, President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Wonderful. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you.
Great. Next, we will have item 3 and public comments on item 3. We'll first take F to speak on item 3.
F for fucked, and fucked by District 8 Curly Dawson on this work order of 2024-03-23. And the reason behind it is the active transportation equity project sounds dirty. And what should you expect? A dirty nigger like Dawson, now the president, dirty nigger of Los Angeles, has to come up with this significant amount, roughly $7 million, for street services on a solution or to solicit the budget authority for this money. Now, it would be wrong to say that God is dirty or God is bad or God hates you. But out of the three, one is right. God hates you. God hates you because you're liars. God hates you because you're simplified faggots. And God hates you because priests rape boys, and you allow it. The same way you're allowing to amend this board motion under this Dawson shit, under the Broadway Manchester Active Transportation Equity Project. As I said earlier, it's dirty. And what do we do with dirt? No, we don't sweep it under the carpet. We pick the dirt up and get rid of it. And that's the reason why Mr. Dawson, soon to be investigated by the FBI in these issues of stealing, abuse, waste, and fraud under Plum, under his new chair, and under multiple agencies of committees and commissions creating these fucking hazards to the crisis going on today, which is stealing street service monies. Look at all the potholes.
Next, we have Mike Greenspan, public comment on item number 3.
Mike Greenspan? Yes, ho, ho, ho. Now, this who is this group? Kimley Horn and Associates. They are on Santa's nice list. Why, Santa's so generous, he's increasing the goodies from $6,665,062 to $7,296,528.65, including contingency to provide additional design services for the Broadway Manchester Active Transportation Equity Project. Excuse me, how come we're having to do this over again? We didn't get it right the first time? See, in appraisal, we would be calling this errors and omissions. And a very good form of insurance, it's not as sexy as home insurance and car insurance, it's errors and omission insurance that they use in appraisal. Well, maybe you should be taking out policies in these companies for errors and omissions. This is a big time error. Why couldn't they get this thing right the first time? What's that thing about IBEW? Do us, we do it right the first time? Well, obviously, Kimley Horn, if I got it right, and Associates didn't do it right the first time. And it's costing us over about $250,000 more for their fuck-ups. We can't afford it. And there's a trend in Council Districts 8, 9, and 10. First, it was Ridley Thomas getting convicted in District 10, Curran Price under indictment, and I'll bet you Harris Dawson's going to probably be next.
That's 2 minutes.
Strike 3.
Thank you.
Item number 3, recommending the board, 1, authorize the Bureau of Street Services to issue a revision of the task order solicitation number 701 to Kinsey Horn and Associates Incorporated, increasing the budget authority from $6,665,062 to $7,296,528.65, including contingency, to provide additional design services for Broadway Manchester Active Transportation Equity Project, and presenting for the board, the Bureau of Street Services, Gina Lang.
Good
Thank you, Gina.
morning, members of the board. My name is Gina Liang with Bureau Street Services, Streets LA, landscape architect. Thank you for having me today. Happy Friday. How's that? Can you hear me better? So the item before you is to request the board authority, again, to issue a revision to task order solicitation 701 for Kemley Horn Associates to increase their budget, as you mentioned earlier, $6,665,062 to $7,296,528.65. And this is to include the contingency for this project. In addition, we are also requesting the board to amend the board motion that was adopted on March 22nd, 2024, to allow the funds to also use for the associated project within the active transportation portion. About this project, as you may be aware, it is on Broadway and Manchester. It's about 2.8 mile stretch. It's located within Council District A in a disadvantaged community. And Streets LA is very excited to do this project because it is one of the largest active transportation project we are implementing. And it basically incorporates the holistic approach from Streets LA by implementing the active transportation elements, which are the transportation, urban greening, stormwater quality capture. This basically involves constructing class 4 bike lanes, enhancing pedestrian access path, providing additional lighting and signals for safety, and planting additional trees and landscape along the corridor. As part of the Save Clean Water Measure W, this project will also capture stormwater treatment and reuse the water to irrigate the proposed landscape. So we're very excited about this project. A little history about this project. I'll go over really quick. In 2019, May 2019, the Caltrans Active Transportation Cycle 4 granted $24.8 million to implement these active transportation improvements within this project. And then from February to July, we received additional fundings from the Natural Resource Agency and also the Department of Transportation and also the Save Clean Water Regional. So within these additional fundings, we asked Kemley Horn to implement these additional improvements that we can add on top of what we've already issued back in February in 2021. So moving forward, 2022, we then issued authorized Kemley Horn for these additional services that we got back in 2021. Now in 2023, in July and September, we were so fortunate that we got additional funding from the Caltrans Cooperative Implementation Agreement of $11,886,981,000 to implement the stormwater capture. And then also in September 2023, we received additional $7 million from the state earmark. So with those two grants that we received recently in 2023, we then again went back to the project and say, what else can we implement on top of what we're already doing? Because we have additional funding, why can't we put back more implementation of design for the community? So that's what we did. So with these additional funding, the project was able to repair additional bike lanes and sidewalk into the project, and that we also wanted to have additional assessment to verify the existing condition and rank the repairs based on the severity and address the areas that most needed. As a result, the additional design services were required to cover the additional assessment and the design services of the improvements. The Save Clean Water and Caltrans CIA funding also requested additional studies and reports to then include the extensive alternative analysis that we had to do for this project. So overall, the project that we're trying to request for additional funding is to cover the soil investigation, the site investigation, utility coordination, additional alternative analysis in Caltrans water quality memo, pedestrian and street lighting requirements for Bureau street lighting, and also to have Kemley Horn to do additional project management for all these coordination that we had to do with different utility companies. So in summary, Streets LA is recommending that the board approve the request to increase the budget authority by $631,466.65. This includes the contingency that we have. So in overall, the increased amount would be $6,665,062 to $7,296,528.65. And the project, we hope to complete this project in 2 years, and hopefully by December 2026.
Great. Great. I'd like to ask, in terms of the trees, how many trees do you intend to plant in this particular project?
So there's multiple fundings and grants for this project. We have already installed over 250 some trees on Broadway and Manchester. So that's already been implemented already. And moving forward, there's probably going to be over another 100 trees at least spreading throughout the Broadway corridor.
Great. So in your report, you talked about also designating or building some more bike lanes. How many bike lanes do you anticipate you will?
Yeah,
do?
so there'll be one bike lane going northbound and southbound, and it's going to be concrete paving. So it's basically going to have a whole enhancement material. So you'll have concrete paving on the bike lane instead of asphalt. Rather than having a striping between the vehicle and the bike lane, we're actually going to have raised curb, like raised curb islands, to have landscaping and trees. So it will be a very nice protector between the cyclists and the vehicular people.
And then in terms of the stormwater, what are the goals in the stormwater infrastructure that you're implementing in this project?
Right, so the stormwater capturing is basically located on Broadway corridor. We're implementing galleries under the street, which will then capture all the runoff, and those runoff water will be stored in those galleries and it will be treated, and then it will be reused to irrigate the trees and landscaping on those proposed median island and the buffer islands.
Great. So as we look collectively at all the variables that we are going to implement in this site, what is our overall goal in this particular project, would you say?
Yeah, the overall goal is to really benefit and contribute back to the community, right? This is located within a disadvantaged community. They don't have much of the green space and the comfort level that they have when they're basically walking down Broadway. And a lot of the safety measure has been brought up through our outreach, and that they wanted to have safer pedestrian and vehicular and cyclists. I think the speed currently on this corridor is a little too fast, and that by implementing these safety measures and mobility with landscape, it will transform this corridor to be a safer, more enjoyable corridor. It will encourage more people to utilize going from point A to point B with walking rather than jumping in your car and transporting yourself. That's kind of the idea, right? To transform that corridor.
Well, you also have the bike lanes also, so that you are improving the environment so that mobility can
Definitely.
be increased,
Yes.
not only just simply in walking,
Right.
but also, again, with the bicycles. I would suspect that at some point in time or another, it will feed into what we're doing on the traditional streets as well, and maintaining that so that we collectively can have the best of the services we provide. And this clearly, to me, is an example of improving the quality of life, particularly in that area with the various things that you're doing. And
Definitely,
and the
definitely.
interrelationship, I think, again, is critically important. We didn't mention it here, but the repairing of the roads and that kind of thing are really enhanced by the way in which we are going deeper to do these other things to help increase those activities of walking and of cycling, if you will, for the bicycles in that community. I am open for any questions from the commissioners to Ms. Lane. Commissioner Reyes.
Hi, where are we exactly with this project in terms of percentage? Are we at completion of 50%, 40%? You mentioned it will be completed in 2 years
For construct, so yeah, so
for
right
the,
now we're in design, right?
okay?
We're in the tail end of the design. So there's actually two components of this project. You have the active transportation components, which
I
is,
understand.
and then there's also the stormwater capturing.
Great.
So as far as the active transportation portion of the project, we're about at 95%
Okay,
design, and then as far as the stormwater capturing, we're about 65%. We're working really closely with Bureau of Sanitation and also Bureau of Engineering to make sure that all these underground infrastructure that we're implementing for the stormwater capture is to standard and to code.
and has construction begun in any of the portion yet?
For the two design package I'm talking
Yes?
about? No, not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet. Yeah. So we hope to have all the design development to be complete end of this year.
Okay,
And then it'll go out to bid next year, and then we'll basically hire a contractor to start construction, which will be 2 years.
and are we providing matching funds currently for this project? And how much is it if we are?
We are, and it also depends on, because there's like 5 different funds for this project. It's very complicated. So depending on what grant it is, the percentage is a little different.
But we are providing
We are,
matching
yes,
funds?
we are, yeah, certain amount, correct.
Okay. All right, so I would like to see like a, sort of like a progress report on this one because it's a combination of state, federal, city funds.
Yes.
And having that complication, as you said, it's a complicated project. I would just like to see what progress is being made, probably on a quarterly basis, if you can do that, and if Devon can take note of that, please. If the board is agreeable to that as well, because it is something that we need to monitor. I'm excited about the project, but I'm also wanted to see that it is within budget and within the scheduled timeline. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. I'd also like to ask about business inclusion. You mentioned the combination of funds, including federal funds. Is that correct?
Correct.
What part has federal funds?
Yeah, so there are several of these different funds. We have Caltrans CIA funds, right? We also have a state earmark fund, so there's a couple of those as well.
How are we in terms of business inclusion, in terms of those who will get an opportunity to subcontract and work on the various aspects of this project?
Right, so when we package these plans together, we will basically list a criteria of, businesses and what are
Sure.
we looking for. So that will be listed on that.
So we're not at that point yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, great. Any other additional questions? Can I receive a second to my motion to accept item number 3? Second. Okay, the motion's been made by me and seconded by Commissioner Reyes.
Great. Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. We will start the roll call beginning with you.
Davis, aye.
Great. Commissioner Corsand
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Wonderful. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have
Next, we have item number 4 and public comment on those. We have one, Mike Greenspan, public comment on item 4. He's not here. Mike Greenspan,
Right here.
item,
Right here. So you see, We didn't learn
Mike
from Willits
Greenspan.
versus.
This is for Mike Greenspan.
Yeah,
Do
right
we have an
here.
additional card?
I'm
We only
right
have
here.
Mike.
I'm the only Greenspan in this room right now, sir.
No, Mike
Are
Greenspan.
you discriminating because I'm black? Yeah, what's wrong with that? I put in a Greenspan card earlier too with the same.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So going back to Willits versus Los Angeles, these fucking retards in wheelchairs fucked it all up for all of us to get safer streets. Because they agreed with your fucked up attorney's office and the scumbags that have that retarded ADA commission made this whole issue a dirty nigger job. And the reason behind that, because, look, let's face it, you want the lowest responsible bidder. Well, no, that doesn't work. We demand a rebid and follow the instructions of the ADA 2010 standard under the federal jurisdiction, DOJ, in addition to the California regulations on how to provide access that is accessible for all white niggers too, like myself, that are not in a wheelchair. Because those assholes in a wheelchair fucked it up with Willits versus LA. What makes it any better under your pre-qualified work order on number 0322, which you discussed earlier about the $500,000? $500,000 is fuzzy fucking money. It's not going to do anything to make our sidewalks and streets safe. And in addition to that, the only thing that's going to get done right is the Federal Highway Administration coming in here and demanding that you fix the goddamn fucking sidewalks and streets.
Okay. Next, Mike Greenspan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
the person who identified himself as Mike
Okay.
Greenspan went,
All
so
right.
there, unless there
Okay.
are other public comment cards.
Okay, so only one.
I
public
turned
comment.
the card in already.
There
So
was just public comment by somebody who identified himself as there was just public comment from someone who identified himself as Mike Greenspan. There was one public comment card. Unless there's any other public comment cards already submitted, then the chair
I've
can.
got one in on 4 and 5. So
Brown Act says you don't have to submit a card as long as he's identifying himself as a speaker.
We permitted him to do it,
Thank
so.
you, thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
okay. All right. Now we're talking about sidewalk repair. Well, ho ho ho, Santa. He likes Access Pacific more. $1,831,455. Whereas the other people, it would be less than a third. We're still not going to repair all the sidewalks. You know that. I know that. It's probably going to be more a system of not what you know or what you need. It's who you know and who your buddies are. And of course, all you guys on the Board of Public Works and the attorney and the clerk and everyone else and the council members, they're going to get their stuff done. And we, the people, we're going to get fucked. That's what's going to really happen. It's always the favoritism and the good old boy system, or even the good old girl system, or the good old queer system, whatever you want to call it. And then when it comes time to actually repairing stuff, I mean, I feel like I've got to wear hiking boots just to walk on a sidewalk. The thing goes up and it comes down. That's what happens when they buckle. You can't just, I feel sorry for the people in the wheelchairs trying to negotiate that. And especially, not everybody has an electric wheelchair. I've pushed a lady around who has one of those old-fashioned, you get the wheelchair with your hands. And I feel for people like that when they have to negotiate sidewalks to go uphill and downhill. Not the terrain of the street. We're talking about a sidewalk on flat surface. So until we get those things leveled and we make a good faith attempt, which of course, just walk around City Hall, as I said before, just walk to Denny's by the Union Station. You'll see lots of buckled sidewalks. People don't understand that. But let's go pass out money. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas in May.
Thank you. That is the end of public comments on item number 4. Recommending the board, 1, declare Access Pacific Incorporated Access, first low bidder, to be the lowest responsive responsible bidder and award Access a contract for the sidewalk repair package number 67. Access request sites for $1,831,455. Two, authorize the president or two members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. WOE 1909080. And speaking on behalf of the Bureau is Omar Brash.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yes.
My name is Omar Bresh. I'm the senior civil engineer for the Sidewalk Repair Program, Bureau of Engineering. The Bureau is requesting authority to award Sidewalk Repair Program Package 67 to Access Pacific, Inc., who was the lowest responsive contractor for the contract amount of $1,831,455 and related recommendations. The project is being delivered by the Sidewalk Repair Program, which was initiated by Council File number 140163S4 and adopted February 3rd, 2015. The Sidewalk Repair Program Access Request Subprogram removes barriers reported by constituents with mobility disabilities and remediates the barriers by reconstructing existing pedestrian facilities, for example, sidewalks and curb ramps, to make them accessible to all residents. The delivery method for this project is design bid build. The project includes sidewalk repair, accessibility upgrades, and pedestrian facilities at 33 access request sites. The SRP Access Request Sub-Program makes repairs requested by for people with mobility disability who encounter physical barriers, such as broken sidewalks, missing or broken curb ramps, or other barriers in the City of Los Angeles city right-of-way. The contract duration is 210 calendar days. This project is being funded via Road Maintenance Rehabilitation Program Special Fund. This concludes my report, if you guys have any questions.
Okay. And so we went out to bid on this project when? When did we do the request for this bid?
When do we do when I went to bid? It was approximately, I would say, 4 months ago. It went through the process of
Before selecting,
board
this
and
is from the list, right?
yeah.
Right. Okay. And again, you said it'll take how long to finish this project?
The NTP a notice to proceed will be most likely issued in a month or two. Then it'll take about 210 calendar days from that point on.
And in terms of the scope of the project geographically, it is going to include work in all 15 council districts, is that right?
No. Yeah, approximately. It's council district 1, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Quite a
15.
few of them.
Yeah, so it's majority of them. So
Now, in terms of our selection on the list versus the small businesses that do smaller work,
yes.
how do we decide that in terms of these sidewalk projects?
So as you know, the list was expired for the small contract, the PQC list. So we're right now waiting for it to be established. We're hoping to be established by the end of June. That's our goal, and we actually planned out several projects already. We have it in queue, ready to be awarded to the small contractors. But usually, historically speaking, how we did was we package. We were given certain amounts, so we would package these access requests to add up to approximately $100,000. And that would be a small package that could go to a small contractor. So what we did was we try to take the easier sites that a new contractor can take on, especially small contractors. We give them that opportunity to learn and move on. We have a great example from that was Geronimo. Several years ago, they were a small contractor and they got trained on this. And they kind of developed working on these small sites. And eventually now they are one of the big contractors, and they're able to work on these larger packages. The larger packages, the reason we have the larger packages is because As earlier Eric Bruin mentioned, that we have staffing issues. We're not staffed enough to have all these small contracts go out, like break these apart to smaller and smaller pieces, because this is almost a $2 million package, breaking it down to 20 small packages going out. That requires management, that requires engineers, CM, construction managements to overlook those. But so we try to do a balancing act. We do issue these larger contracts so they can go out and we meet the mayor's goals as well. So, and at the same time, we try to have smaller contractors available. So it's kind of a 50-50.
You used the word balance,
Yes.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at how these lists work, when we have our traditional list, we have another list that we implement prior to the expiration of the list, correct?
Yes.
Now, on the small business list, you said it expired, right?
Yes.
Why didn't we have the same system in place for that list that we have in our traditional list?
The list expired last year, and it was just the process of reinstating the new list and getting new contractors on board. It's it's a long process. I'm not the person that
Oh, well, no, that's not a
intricates
problem.
that.
You can
Yeah,
come back and talk to me for it. Let me just make another
sure.
question, give you another question. The list that we currently have,
Yeah.
it doesn't expire. Or if it does expire, we would have already presented to the board
It's coming to
a subsequent list, correct?
yeah, it's
So
coming.
you see what question I'm really asking here, right?
Yeah.
It's a larger question.
Yes, yes.
So you can go back and say that I asked that question and come to me when you get an opportunity
Oh, yeah,
to explain to me. It may be that there is a system that I'm not aware of, and it may be that we might want to look in the future at ways in which that leadership might want to approach
Yeah.
that list, similar to the way that they're approaching this one. I don't know what the answer to it is,
Yes.
but I thought it was a fair question,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
given the practice that we have with lists,
Yeah,
right?
and that's one of the things we're trying to explore as well, to eliminate that gap between the list getting reestablished, so there's no delay. So we are exploring that. That is a upper management discussion. So at this
And you
time, so-
used the word balance in the beginning of this presentation. I think that's a very fair and important word.
Yes.
In terms of our goal and our vision is to
Yes.
have balance. We have done the small business sidewalk repair program for at least 3 years or more now,
Yes.
right? Which means we know what our expectation is to manage it.
Yes.
And for it to happen, it has to be managed. And
Yes.
so we are aware that it does,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So that it will be great when you get an opportunity, we can look at how we can strengthen that, as well as the very important work that you're doing in this current motion that you have before us. We seek to, as you have stated in this motion, to be balanced.
Yes.
And so I think that by having a discussion about it and not overlooking it,
Yeah.
it really taps our imagination
Yes, definitely.
about how we can grow
Yeah.
as a city to strengthen that program as well. I would love to see us with a program as strong and vibrant in small business as it is here with our traditional businesses. I'm an advocate of our prime contractors.
Yes.
But I'm equally and I'm balanced as an advocate for our small businesses as well. And so as you have presented today, I hope that we can move towards a balance
yeah.
moving forward. Any questions from the commissioners? None? Can we have a motion, can we have a second to my motion to accept item number 4?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Croissant to my motion to accept item 4.
Great, we'll take the roll, starting with you, President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corsand,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, the item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Next, we have item number 5, and we have 2 public comments. The first of which is, Oh, I'm sorry. We have two public comments on item number 5, the first of which is Mr. Mike Greenspan.
Mike Greenspan. Yes, here we go again with isn't this thing, the Hyperion, Glendale Hyperion complex of bridges, phase 2, rebid. Does that mean we already had bids, none were satisfactory, and so, or the bidder perhaps was not qualified or couldn't fit all the conditions? I mean, usually this bidding project, you get all these people, yay, let me bid. And then you really get maybe 10% of those that go rah-rahing that actually submit bids. And this is from what I've noticed being this city or other places. And then you start coming to the conditions, and boy, that winnows things down and separates the wheat from the chaff. And suddenly, maybe it's just a way of setting it up to give to your friends and your cronies and not really be an open bid process, but a rigged bid process. I mean, that is possible. And of course, we don't know until FBI comes in and starts getting people for bid rigging. Growing up in Florida, we had some people go off to prison for bid rigging with electrical companies, so nothing new. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd yawn if this was a rigged bid. But this is the good old sewer water place, where they take that water and clean it up and tell you, yum, yum, it's good water to drink now. Shit water is good water because it's been reclaimed. Yes, isn't that a nice word? Reclaimed, recycled. How many of you folks would actually go out there and get a glass right there at the Glendale Hyperion plant and drink the water from the plant? I don't think any of you in this room would. I wouldn't. I don't trust it. So rebid and rig it. Thank you.
Next we have
Yeah, so under the rebid, regig, rip-off, scam, hooligans under the Hyperion complex, are we not satisfied with just this far-out, left-wing rip-off scams that this city has done in the last 10 years? Or are we just going to continue to just rubber stamp, approve all these bids that apparently you don't got qualified people able to do? And I definitely don't want to water my yard with shit water, and I don't want to water my ass in a tub with shit water, and I don't want to drink it either. I just want to die because God made me a living creature and not a monkey like some of you. See, you guys act like monkeys because you have a different view of looking at life. You say you come from the planet of the apes. Well, I came from God's living creation. In the beginning, God created one thing, the earth. And if we're going to have a Hyperion corruption scandal after scandal shit, how do we expect to have a fair bidding going on or rebidding when we know that the city of Los Angeles has been in cahoots with Peter Thomas and those other white nigger politicians stealing and patting their wallets and greasing their palms with all this polluted, dirty shit? So at the end, the hardworking lady there like Ms. Devon or the city attorney woman to my left or on television, your right, you're just fools working for the puppets. Remember, you will always be a puppet, and in the eyes of God, though, you will always be hated for your crimes.
We have item number 5, specification submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids, CD 14, Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridges Phase 2 rebid work order number E700067F, estimate undisclosed, and bid receipt date Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Can I have a second to my motion to accept item number 5? Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Reyes.
Okay, great. We'll take the roll call. President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Corson?
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes?
Aye.
All ayes, the item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you. Next, we have oral reports. And in oral reports, we have, okay, we have one speaker card on item, let's see, oral reports, item number 6. F, last call for F, and we're closing public comment. Now we have Bureau of Sanitation, Nancy Lanton. Lanton.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
I'm Nancy
morning, Nancy.
Lanton from LA Sanitation and Environment. For this month's May monthly oral status report, sanitation has 25 contracts expiring within the next 120 days. The first contract on the list is with USA Waste of California, DBA Waste Management, and that contract expires June 30th, 2024. This is for sanitation's landfill disposal of grit and screenings at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. This contract will not be renewed. A new contract has been presented to the board. A new contract was through the RFP process, and the board did approve that contract on January 24th, 2024. We have since received mayor approval on that, and it's currently pending city council approval. Excuse me. The next set of contracts are 24 contracts for sanitation's on-call consultants that provide as-needed planning and technical support services for LA Sanitation's clean water, watershed protection, and solid resources programs. These 24 consultants are listed on the report before you, so I won't read them, but they have been submitted into the board's agenda. These 24 contracts will not be renewed. LA Sanitation released a new request for qualifications for these services. The board approved that new list of on-call consultants on March 13th, 2024. The contracts have been approved by the mayor's office, and those are also pending city council approval. And that concludes my report for this month. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, members? Thank you so very much, Ms. Lanton. Appreciate your report today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Bureau of Street Services, Martha Enges. You can help me with the pronunciation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Martha Iñiguez, representing the Bureau of Street Services.
Great.
The Bureau currently has a total of just one that will be expiring within the next 90 days. That contract is with Sterndal Enterprises for the freeway off-ramp closure services. It is due to expire August 31st, and we are currently drafting an RFP to replace that contract. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, members?
No.
No questions? Thank you so very much for your report
Thank you. Have a good
today.
day.
Thank you. Next, we have Bureau of Street Lighting, Shihab. Mr. Shihab.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So this is in regards to NBS's the citywide ballot. I know you all have been, aware of our citywide ballot that we've been working on for the past 3 years now. We're on currently a 6-month period of a month-to-month extension, and currently we would like to ask the board if we can extend our month-to-month from June 7 to July 7 of 2024. We'll be coming back the next few months. Currently, we're working on an extension contract with NBS. I know we discussed this in the past in regards to having a sole, contractor, since NBS has been working on the citywide ballot for the past 3+ years. So we've already spent numerous, funds and time, working on the ballot design and etc. and all of that. So we're asking for the board for extra 30-day extension for our current contract.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions, members? Hearing none, thank you so very much.
Okay,
And
perfect.
have a
Thank you very
great
much. We'll be
weekend.
back next month. Thank you.
We had no reports from the Bureau of Sanitation nor the Bureau of Contract Administration. So that concludes our oral reports. We have one final oral report from the Bureau of Street Services, Jorge Garcia. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Item number 7. Thank you.
Sir, good morning, Mr. Davis, Commissioner.
Yes.
Let me see here. My name is Jorge Garcia, Superintendent with Streets Renewal Division of Streets LA. And this information is being provided to keep the public informed of the upcoming resurfacing projects to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays. For additional information or concerns, you may contact our coordinating section for the Streets Renewal Division at 213-847-3200. At this time, there is no major street projects scheduled for the Metro Valley regions during the week of June 2nd through June 8th, 2024. However, I would like to provide an update on the 23-24 paving preservation program. During the week of June 2nd through June 8th, the Valley and Metro regions will complete 16 projects for a total of 9.75 lane miles. The press releases were distributed and notifications have been issued. Streets LA has coordinated with the council office to assist with the outreach to stakeholders. We have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for our control assistance. This information is also available on the Streets LA website at streetsla.lacity.org using the Resurfacing Open Icon project. And this will conclude my report of the week.
Thank you, Superintendent. Any questions of the Superintendent? Hearing none, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for your report, sir. Thank you. Let's see here. Mrs. Zatorsky, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, we have cleared all the items on the agenda today.
Okay, this concludes the agenda and meeting of the Board of Public Works for May 31st.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.